Today we explore the language of human movement in training science. Every exercise you perform follows specific biomechanical movement patterns. Understanding them will transform how you train and prevent injuries. Let us begin with one of the most fundamental movements. Flexion is the act of decreasing the angle between two joints. Imagine bending your elbow during a controlled bicep curl. That shortening motion is a perfect example of flexion. Flexion also happens at the knee during hamstring exercises. And even your spine flexes when you perform a crunch. Opposite to flexion, we have extension in human movement. Extension increases the angle between two body segments. Straightening your arm during a triceps pushdown shows extension clearly. Standing up from a squat involves hip and knee extension. These two movements form the foundation of most strength exercises. Now we shift sideways to another important movement category. Abduction means moving a limb away from the body midline. Think of raising your arms outward during lateral raises. Your legs also abduct when stepping away from your center. This movement is essential for joint stability and control. Returning inward brings us to the opposite movement, adduction. Adduction moves limbs back toward the body's central line. Lowering your arms after a raise is a simple example. Squeezing your legs together also demonstrates adduction clearly. These muscles stabilize and control movement during athletic performance. Now let us introduce rotational movement patterns in the body. Rotation occurs when a bone turns around its own axis. The shoulder joint is especially capable of complex rotation. Internal rotation turns the limb inward toward the body. External rotation moves the limb outward away from the center. Core exercises often involve rotational control of the torso. Russian twists are a common example of spinal rotation. Now we explore a more complex and combined movement pattern. Circumduction is a circular motion involving multiple movement types. It combines flexion, extension, abduction, and adduction smoothly. Arm circles are a simple and effective example. Hip circles also demonstrate this flowing movement pattern clearly. These movements improve joint mobility and coordination. Now let us connect these concepts to real training exercises. A squat involves both flexion and extension at major joints. Descending is flexion, while rising upward is extension. Understanding this improves control and muscle activation. A pull-up combines adduction and elbow flexion together. The shoulder pulls downward while elbows bend under tension. A shoulder press involves upward movement against gravity. This includes shoulder flexion or abduction, depending on angle. And elbow extension completes the movement at the top. Recognizing these patterns improves exercise technique significantly. It also helps you identify weak or undertrained muscles. This awareness reduces injury risk during intense training and builds a deeper connection between mind and movement. Let us now deepen our understanding of these movement patterns. Each movement is controlled by specific muscle groups working together. Flexion primarily involves muscles that shorten to pull joints closer. For example, the biceps contract to flex the elbow joint. Meanwhile, hamstrings flex the knee during many athletic movements. On the opposite side, extension relies on different muscle groups. The triceps extend the elbow by straightening the arm. Quadriceps extend the knee when you stand or jump upward. This push and pull relationship is essential for joint balance. Now consider abduction and its role in stability. The gluteus medius abducts the hip to stabilize your pelvis. Without it, your hips may drop during walking or running. The shoulder also relies on abduction for controlled arm movement. The middle deltoid lifts the arm away from the body. Adduction, in contrast, brings everything back towards center. The inner thigh muscles pull the legs together efficiently. Lat muscles assist in pulling the arms downward and inward. These actions are critical in pulling exercises like rows. Rotation introduces another layer of complexity in movement. The rotator cuff stabilizes and rotates the shoulder joint. Strong rotation control reduces risk of shoulder injuries. Core muscles generate rotational force in athletic actions. This includes twisting during sports like tennis or boxing. Circumduction combines multiple movement planes into one action. It trains coordination across joints and muscle groups. Mobility routines often include circular movement patterns. These improve joint lubrication and overall movement efficiency. Now let us examine common mistakes in these movements. Many people rush through flexion without proper muscle control. This reduces effectiveness and increases injury risk over time. Extension is often overextended, stressing joints unnecessarily. Locking joints forcefully can strain ligaments and connective tissues. Abduction mistakes include raising arms too high without stability. This can overload the shoulder joint and surrounding muscles. Adduction errors often involve using momentum instead of control. Controlled movement ensures proper muscle activation and safety. Rotation mistakes commonly include twisting the spine excessively. This places unnecessary stress on spinal discs and joints. Circumduction done too quickly reduces its mobility benefits. Slow and controlled circles improve joint awareness and control. Now let us connect movement patterns to muscle growth. Muscles grow when they are challenged through full range motion. Flexion and extension create tension across muscle fibers. Abduction and adduction add stability and structural balance. Rotation develops coordination and functional strength. Circumduction enhances mobility and joint health simultaneously. Together, these movements create a complete training system. Ignoring any one pattern may lead to imbalances. Balance training ensures long-term progress and injury prevention. The body thrives when all movement patterns are trained equally. Now let us explore how these movements appear in daily life. Flexion occurs when you sit down or pick objects up. Extension happens when you stand or reach upward overhead. Abduction appears when stepping sideways or raising your arms. Adduction happens when returning limbs back toward your body. Rotation is used when turning your head or twisting your torso. Circumduction appears in natural circular movements of limbs. These patterns are not just for athletes, but for everyone. Training them improves daily movement efficiency and safety. Now consider how posture influences these movement patterns. Poor posture limits proper joint movement and muscle activation. For example, rounded shoulders restrict proper shoulder abduction. Tight hips can limit both flexion and extension ranges. Mobility work helps restore natural movement capabilities. Now let us examine the nervous system's role in movement. The brain coordinates muscle contractions for each movement pattern. Efficient movement requires strong neuromuscular connections. Practicing movements improves coordination and motor control. Slow training enhances awareness of each movement phase. Now let us talk about range of motion in training. Full range of motion maximizes muscle activation and growth. Partial movements limit the effectiveness of your exercises. Flexion should be controlled through the full available range. Extension should be strong, but not excessively forced. Abduction should remain stable without excessive shoulder elevation. Adduction should be controlled and not rely on momentum. Rotation should be smooth and within safe joint limits. Circumduction should be slow and controlled for joint health. Now let us connect breathing to movement patterns. Proper breathing enhances stability and force production. Exhale during effort, especially during extension movements. Inhale during controlled flexion or lowering phases. Breathing supports the core during rotational movements. Now consider fatigue and its impact on movement quality. As fatigue increases, movement patterns often break down. Flexion may become uncontrolled or too rapid under fatigue. Extension may lose power and stability over time. Abduction may become unstable with poor muscle engagement. Adduction may rely too much on momentum instead of control. Rotation becomes risky if core stability is compromised. Circumduction may lose coordination and smooth movement. This is why technique should always come before intensity. Now let us consider injury prevention through movement awareness. Balance training reduces stress on joints and connective tissues. Strengthening all movement patterns supports joint stability. Mobility ensures joints move freely without compensation patterns. Control ensures safe and efficient force production. Together, these elements form the foundation of healthy movement. Now we approach the final integration of all concepts. Movement is not isolated, but beautifully interconnected. Every exercise is a combination of these fundamental movement patterns. Understanding them allows you to train with purpose and precision. Instead of guessing, you begin to analyze each movement deeply. This awareness improves both performance and long-term health. For example, A deadlift involves powerful hip extension mechanics, but also requires spinal stability and controlled flexion positioning. A lunge combines flexion, extension, and balance simultaneously. Upper body exercises follow similar biomechanical principles. Push movements emphasize extension and controlled stabilization. Pull movements emphasize flexion and adduction of the limbs. Rotational exercises train coordination across the entire body. Circumduction improves mobility and fluid movement transitions. Now, let us reflect on how to apply this knowledge. Begin by observing your movements during every exercise you perform. Ask yourself which joints are flexing or extending. Notice whether your limbs are moving toward or away from center. Identify any rotation occurring in your torso or joints. This mindful approach enhances learning and body awareness. Now let us consider progressive overload in this context. You can increase load while maintaining proper movement patterns, or improve control and range of motion over time. Both approaches contribute to strength and muscle development. Quality always outweighs quantity in effective training. Now let us connect recovery to movement performance. Muscles need time to repair after repeated movement stress. Sleep supports nervous system recovery and coordination. Hydration maintains joint lubrication and muscle function. Mobility work preserves full range of motion across joints. Ignoring recovery reduces movement quality and increases injury risk. Now we arrive at the final lesson of this journey. Movement is the foundation of all physical performance. Flexion, extension, abduction, and rotation form its core language. When you understand them, training becomes intentional and effective. You move with control, awareness, and confidence. This is how athletes build strength that lasts. This is how injuries are prevented before they begin. And this is how progress becomes sustainable over time. Remember, the body adapts to how you move each day. Train with intention, and the results will follow. Move carelessly, and the body will eventually resist. So slow down, observe, and refine your movement patterns. Progress is not rushed. It is built through consistency. Like a turtle, steady effort leads to lasting success. Master the basics, and advanced training becomes easier. Respect your body, and it will reward you with strength. Understand movement, and you unlock your full potential. This is the science of training, simple yet powerful. And now you carry this knowledge into your own practice. Train wisely, move well, and stay consistent. Your journey in movement mastery has just begun.